So, yes, thanks to Laura. I want to thank Laura for making the special request to revisit this class on the second chakra, Svadhisthana Chakra, which is the water element. And I know that right after our first time we did this class, Laura said this was so great. Like, it's so good as a hockey player. There was so much in the hips that was really helpful. So we're going to revisit that class. We've been working our way. We had gone up to the third chakra last time, and now we're revisiting the second chakra. So we'll pick it back up. So I want to just demo one thing, and I'm going to invite us all to center today lying on our backs, but I just wanted to show you one option for reclined cobbler's pose on your back. You can center just with your knees bent, feet wide apart and knees together, or if you have maybe a little blanket under your head, if you have something like that available. And this may work, it may not work. So cobbler's pose is when our feet are together and our knees come apart, but that can be a lot on the inner thighs and the groin. So I really want to encourage you for this centering to bring pillows, and you can even stand, like if you have couch pillows or throw pillows, if you stand them on their end and then lie your leg on them, you get a higher aspect. And feet can be far away or in close, and hands can be on the belly. So, and then I like to, when I'm down here, I almost like to lift my hips up off the ground and then lie them back down. And that kind of brings more of a anterior tilt into the pelvis. So you might try this. If you know this is not a good position for your body, you can tell automatically, not good for me, then I would invite you to have feet wide apart, knees bent, or you can just center as we normally do in seated pose. So take a minute now to find your place where you would like to begin your centering. Whether it's reclined butterfly pose, or maybe just knees bent, feet wide apart, and knees leaning in towards each other. If you just don't have the right props to allow your legs to fully rest and almost like melt into the props to support your knees, then you don't want to be working at all with your legs apart. So if you don't have the right pillows and things, I would just put your knees up next to each other. And then coming into your quiet space, coming inside. If your hands are on your belly, maybe you're beginning to sense the expansion of your belly with breath on the inhale. And the gathering in towards the spine on the exhale. And right away here in our centering this morning, this practice focused around the second chakra, Svadhisthana Chakra, the element of water, calling to mind a stream. Maybe it's a stream you know well, or just one in your imagination where you can picture the graceful flow of water over rocks and logs, around little bends. And begin to imagine your breath being like that stream, moving around obstacles, finding its way. No striving with this breath right here. Calling to mind something that you appreciate about this stream that you've brought to mind. Some aspect or quality that you would like to carry with you for our practice today and maybe into the days ahead. And bringing your attention and breath now into the area of the hips, the sacrum, the abdomen, the inner thighs, the knees, and then back up, inviting the breath all around our sexual organs and the abdomen. When we're balanced in this second chakra, we feel graceful, like we can work with obstacles and challenges that come up in our lives. We also feel open to having fun and playing, being joyful, experiencing pleasure. Yet this area of the hips is a place where we can so often get stuck if we sit a lot, if we're tense in the hips, we tend to hold a lot of stress in this part of the body. So this practice will aim towards releasing some of that energy that can be stuck in the hips and inviting it to expand out through our roots, out through our feet and our legs, and also all the way up through the center energy channel, up right out the crown of the head. The color of the second chakra is orange, and the vowel sound is oo, like the sound of the vowel in the word do. So let's all chant that sound oo together right now. I'm imagining the color orange spreading from your hip area, your abdomen, all throughout your legs and your torso and your arms, right out the crown of your head. So we'll inhale together. Keeping an eye on the vibration that remains after the chant, allowing it to spread throughout your body and your energy field. And then if you're using props and lying on the floor, you can move your props off to the side. And any of these practices tonight, any of these yoga postures can be adapted. That's one of my favorite things about this watery practice flow, is that it's all about organic movement. So if we're still on our backs, if it's okay with you to be on your back, let's bring our feet flat to the floor. Knees are pointed towards the ceiling and hands can be near the hips. And we're going to start with some pelvic rocking. So on the inhale, we'll tilt the pelvis towards the feet. So our belly comes off the floor. And on an exhale, we'll roll the pelvis so that the lower back flattens on the floor. And just right away, starting your own organic flow here. Timing the movement with your breath. And it doesn't really matter if it's on an inhale or exhale, but just try to feel the timing of the motion, that you reach the end point of the stretch in one direction as you fill the body with air, and then reaching the full expression of the movement as you exhale. Picturing that stream, water flowing around obstacles. And then let's bring this movement, lifting the feet off the ground. Hands can come to the knees. Let's rock the knees forward and back. It's just a bigger movement of that pelvis rocking. You can just not be big rocks, just so that you're really, it's just your pelvis, your feet are moving back and forth. Your back is staying on the ground here. And then let's bring the right foot to the ground. Left foot extends, and then opposite, right foot extends towards the ceiling. Just like this is where it becomes difficult to guide, because I'm really wanting you to move organically. So here's an example of that. So from here, right foot could come to the floor and left foot could bend into like a figure 4 stretch. And then just feel, what would feel good here? Would it feel good to lift that right foot off the ground and make circles? Would it feel good to maybe bring the right foot to the ground, but grab the left foot with the right hand and explore movement in that left hip by just holding the left foot and the left knee in with your right hand and left hand? What would feel just right here to explore movement in the right hip? Now, remembering breath again, bringing your breath back in. For me now, my left leg is extended towards the ceiling and I'm making circles with that left foot. This is just how my organic movement is evolving. Oh, now I'm circling out my left ankle. That feels so good. Who knew? So really getting into the hips and the knees, the toes here, listening to what would feel just right in your body here. And then let's extend that left leg, give another nice stretch towards the ceiling, rolling out the left ankle, and then left knee bends and left foot comes to the floor, and we'll inhale, extending the right leg. Let's start here with just circling out the right ankle, maybe just moving right into your organic expression of It's really opening and stretching into this right leg. I'll just talk through what I'm doing, but really encourage you to linger on anything that feels so good in your body. So right now I'm bending and straightening that right leg with my toes curling back towards my knee. Rolling out my ankle a few more times, making some circles with that right leg extended, circling the leg and feeling the femur and the hip socket. And then I'm going to cross my right ankle over the left knee, lifting into a figure 4 stretch here. And right away, I'm going to put my left foot back on the floor, but I'm going to grab my right foot with my left hand and put my right hand on my left knee. And then I'm moving this right leg back and forth from side to side. I really like this opening of the hip. It's a little more organic than the traditional figure 4 stretch. And I was thinking, like, how did these yoga postures, we think figure 4 stretch needs to look this certain way. How did these yoga postures first get developed? Well, it was those yogis, they're just moving and they're like, God, I'm just going to move my leg this way and that way. And oh, I found this posture that just gets my hip opening every time. We're going to name this one and use this one. But, it just comes from feeling into the movement. Well, let's extend that right leg again, rolling out the ankle. And making sure now we can lower that right foot to the floor, making sure that you have room for your legs to extend to the right and to the left. We're going to do this wide leg twist. So hands come out to the sides in the T position. Inhaling, legs can lift towards the ceiling, and we'll allow the legs to open as wide as is comfortable in your body. Feeling that feeling right here. Inhaling, exhale, both legs move over towards the left, bringing you into a big twist on opening on the right side body. Inhaling, right leg lifts towards the ceiling, then left leg follows. Exhale, legs drop to the right, any amount. So again, now feeling the breath brings you to center, and then the exhale brings you to one side. Maybe your gaze moves over the opposite shoulder. Inhale brings you to center, and exhale brings you to the opposite side. Keep going at your own pace, knowing, listening how far of a twist is safe in my body this morning. If this feels like it's a lot of strain on the low back, you could bend the knees here and turn it more into a happy baby pose. Similar, can you see the connection? It's this very similar movement. It's just less gravitational pull coming through the legs when you have the knees bent. Next time your legs fall to one side, time that the exhale to fully release from the belly. And then we'll inhale a full breath. Exhale the opposite side, twisting, legs fall to the opposite side, exhaling all the breath. And then inhaling to center. Let's take the hands to the knees. The knees are bent. Some sacral circles here, rolling the sacrum on the floor. And then slowing this movement down, imagining that the sacrum was a clock and you could touch every hour of the clock onto the floor as you roll a big circle over your sacrum. And then move in the opposite direction. I love these challenging, the things that challenge us to slow down. It brings me into the present moment in such a spacious way that I'm just always working on how to have more of these moments, touching every hour of the sacrum to the floor, these kinds of moments in my day-to-day life. And I know from conversations with many of you that you're also working on that, such a great goal. So now we can, if you don't have a bruised tailbone like me, you could start your sacral rocking back and forth, big rocks to eventually bring us up to hands and knees pose, table pose, or if it doesn't feel good to be in table pose, you could do this in sitting. So coming now to hands and knees, we'll bring this watery movement into our cat and cow flow. So let's start right away with an inhale, belly drops, gaze lifts, shoulder blades come together on the back. Exhale into your cat pose. Shoulder blades spread far apart. Chin drops, feeling that nice opening on the back side of the body. Inhaling into cow. Exhaling into cat. Now, making this as organic as possible here. One place I really love to add organic movement is to imagine my belly is making circles inside, like I'm scraping the inside of a barrel. So I'm doing these big barrel rolls with my whole torso. So belly drops, and then there's like a side bend where I'm opening the right side body, and then side bend, opening the left side body. The head can follow, or head could move in the opposite direction. Maybe your organic movement is bringing your hips back to your heels in a child's pose, and then hips move to the left as you have a nice side stretch on that left side, and then torso moves so that you're coming up to the hands, and then big side stretch on the right side of the body, side bend as your hips come back to your heels. Finding your movement. So here, where the intention is to bring more mobility into the spine, really opening through the shoulder blades and the mid back. What would feel just right? Maybe coming up on fingertips, like in a high child's pose where my hips aren't all the way back to my heels, but my hands are reaching far ahead on fingertips, allowing your head to release, feeling that, I feel that opening under my armpits, my ribs. Now coming up for a puppy pose. Puppy pose can be a little confusing because it's hard to see what our hips are doing in space. I like to curl my toes under, and you might just want to watch this. And so instead of child, where we hips go all the way back, in puppy pose, right, Nina, we love puppy pose, right? Luna does this all the time. My hips are going to stay right over my knees. My hands walk out on fingertips. And then from here, my hips don't move. My chest lowers towards the floor. Wow. Head releases. If this is too much in your shoulder, Laura, might be way too much in your shoulder, go really gently here. If you're having any shoulder problems, you could always bend that, I think it's your left shoulder, Laura. You could bend that left elbow across the mat. So you're feeling this stretch more in the right shoulder, right armpit area. Where is your stream breath? Modifying here, maybe walking yourself back, coming out of it a little bit, and then finding a way to come back in that's not so intense. And then inhaling, coming back into tabletop pose. That opening of across the chest is so important when we sit at computers or driving or on our phones. We are collapsing here. So finding ways to open across the chest is so important. Let's do one more opening. So left hand comes, left hand or left wrist if you're having, left fist if you're having trouble with your wrists. Left fist comes to the floor, right under the sternum. We'll inhale, the right arm lifts, twisting, looking up to the right. And then exhale, right arm threads the needle under the left, right shoulder comes towards the floor. If that feels okay. Maybe the left fingertips walk out on the mat to invite a little more opening in that left armpit area. And then left hand walks back near the face. As we inhale, right arm lifts towards the sky. Exhale, right hand comes below the sternum, either fingertips or fist. We'll inhale, the left arm lifting, big twist, feel that opening, circling out the left wrist. Exhale, left hand threads the needle, left shoulder comes to the floor. Any amount. You could be up quite high and still feel an opening in the shoulder just by having that left hand on the floor. If your shoulder's on the ground, maybe right fingertips walk out towards the top of the mat. And then hand comes back towards the face. Let's come back here into our tabletop pose. Toes curl under. Inhaling, lifting into downward dog. Taking just a few breaths here to walk out the heels. Maybe big bend in the knees like you're a tiger about to pounce. And then inhale, legs straighten any amount. Exhale, big bend in the knees, ready to pounce. Exhale, legs straighten. Now we'll walk feet towards hands till you're coming towards the top of your mat. Legs nice and wide apart, knees bent. Fold arms here for ragdoll. Swaying from right to left. As you sway to the right, maybe you roll to the outside edge of the right foot. And then swaying to the left, rolling. Taking a moment to remember the quality of the stream you were picturing. What quality do you want to carry with you in our practice? And now hands release, knees are bent so that torso is resting on the thighs. Let's scoop our hands, scooping that water from your stream, deep bend in the knees as you're lifting your water over your head, arms reach overhead. And now pouring this stream water right down your body as your hands move alongside your body, imagining all the cleansing properties of water, being able to flush out, just flush it all out, releasing stuck energy, releasing, oh my God, all the tension from your week, whatever you've been holding, let it go with that fresh water. So yeah, shaking it all out. You guys are so good at this. Oh my God, it just comes naturally to you. Let's move it. You move it into a breath of joy from here. So feet, make sure you have room for your hands to move to the sides. You can move right into breath of joy if you know it. Feet are a little bit wider than hips, width distance apart. Knees are slightly bent. We take 3 sips of inhale. Arms move forward to the side and forward with 3 little sips of inhale. And then we exhale with a ha. Careful of the low back. Ha can just be the arms, or it can be a full forward fold. So breath of joy, you have to have a little smile on your lips because it's breath of joy. Inhale, 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 ha. 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 Thinking of your stream, ha. Thinking of bringing fresh prana and energy in with all of the inhales and really letting it go with the ha. One more, wherever you are. Ha. And now soft gaze at the floor. Keep the movement moving in your body. That might mean fingertips wiggling, rocking from one leg to the other. As you're allowing this movement to happen, it might get quiet and you might just feel an internal. What are you feeling internally? What does it feel like to let your prana, your energy force, express itself through that kind of movement? How does your breath feel different? Keeping your either eyes closed or a gentle gaze, invite you to just explore your energy field now by twisting. Maybe arms are out in front of you and you're just pivoting from one toe to the other as you're exploring the range of your energy field. Calling to mind that if you've ever swum in water with bioluminescence, or you know that can picture sparkles from your fingertips here as you have this slow swaying movement, almost like you're a piece of kelp in the ocean. Maybe your hands lower, exploring your energy field closer to your hips or your knees. This is all of us. We're not just our physical bodies, right? We are all of this. Maybe your hands coming to the back of your head. Don't forget the back of your field. And our consciousness, our wise selves love it when we can play with this bigger sense of energy and containment. It's like there's so much more room to play and to absorb other people's whatever's going on for them when we're not just in these physical bodies. So if breath of joy helps you get there, maybe make it a goal to do breath of joy once a day. So bringing this, like what you've got going on here right now, this is yoga. Bring this into our next flow that we're going to do. Coming to the tops of your mats, knowing that if any of the poses that I'm guiding, if they're familiar to you and you want to take them to more deep experience, please do so or follow my guidance here. Let's inhale, arms lift, thinking of your energy field. Exhale, knees bend, forward fold, Uttanasana. Keeping that watery movement, we'll inhale to a straight back. And then exhale, stepping back into plank pose. Moving through chaturanga, low push-up, or knees come to the floor. Chest lowers between the hands. Inhaling your watery movement into a low cobra or upward dog. Exhale. Toes curl under, downward dog. Inhaling, left foot reaches towards the sky. Exhale, left foot steps between the hands, setting up here, just keeping that watery movement, thinking of your energy field as you're rocking back and forth in this low lunge. So I'm rocking onto my heel of my left foot and onto my tippy toes of my right foot. Watery movement. We're going to move towards lizard pose, which is pretty deep opening of the hip. So if you know there's something else that would be better for you to do here, maybe warrior two. If you have blocks or stiff pillows nearby, please bring them to the inside of your left foot. They can stack. Change my screen so you can see. Blocks can stack in any orientation here. And we're going to bring our left hand to the inside of the left foot. And we're going to invite ourselves to lower our torso towards the ground here. So for me, that means my elbows are coming to these blocks. And I'm in a deep lunge here. So you can do this just by having hands. If you don't have blocks, hands can be on the ground, but you might be bending your elbows to try to get your torso a little lower. Inviting breath. Gets harder when we're in these big poses to stay watery and to stay fluid, but inviting the breath still in this big hip opener. And then we'll bring that left hand now to the outside of the left foot. We'll take as many steps as we need to bring the left foot back. Let's lift that left foot now. Left hip opens, can bend the left knee into three-legged dog here. Big opening on the left hip. The opposite movement of what we were just doing. And then exhale, left foot comes to the floor. Downward dog here. Let's all move towards a child's pose. So knees moving wide on the mat, toes together. Lowering down into your child pose. If you have a block nearby, it might feel nice to put your forehead on a block. And just notice what does it feel like to move from really experiencing your prana and your watery flow to go right into a challenging pose? How is that landing in your body? Can you bring more water in as we do the next side and less thinking mind? More water, less mind. So with that intention, let's inhale and lift hips back into downward dog, walking out the heels. This time we'll inhale, the right foot reaches towards the sky, and exhale, right foot steps between the hands. Right away here, coming up high on those left toes, start rocking back and forth. So I'm rocking on the tippy toes of my left foot and then onto the heel of my right foot. So I'm staying in this lunge position. I'm on my fingertips, could be on your wrists here. Could even do this in standing if it's just too much. So if you're doing this in standing, if it's too much on your back, it might look like just moving onto your toes, rocking back and forth on those left toes, just still feeling this. What does it feel like to move in this lunge position? Then I'm going to move my right arm comes to the inside of the right foot. Maybe the left toes scoot back a little farther on the mat so you have even more of an opening in that left hip flexor. If you have blocks nearby, maybe moving the block to the inside of the right foot or multiple blocks. I like 2 blocks stacked here. Forearms can come to the blocks. Breathing. Watery flow, still moving here. Can you still safely with your right knee over the right ankle have some movement through the left toes on the floor? Breath reaches right back to those left toes. Really exploring in the left hip. Imagining your wider energy field here as we come up now. Moving off blocks, right hand moves to the outside of the right foot, sliding that right foot back. Inhaling, right foot to the sky, bending the right knee, allowing the right foot to drop back as you feel it opening here, right across the right hip. Inhaling now, let's inhale, step that right foot between the hands, and then left foot meets the right. Pausing here to feel your feet on the floor, feel your roots, scooping your stream water. Inhaling to stand, hands come overhead as slowly as possible, pouring the water over your head. Maybe pausing with this healing water, any place in your body that could use a little nourishment and support, healing energy. Moving, if you're having shoulder issues, maybe you put a hand on that spot that's sore, bringing your hands to any part of your body or just your attention to any part of your body that could use some healing, breath, energy. Feeling the warmth expand from your hands. Feeling your breath dance. And then letting that go, letting your hands shake out. Let's do a slow race again. We're going to find our way back into a forward fold. This time, like gravity was pulling our fingertips to the floor, and that gravity then just pulls our shoulders and our head. We're like a sloth moving back towards the floor, back into this forward fold. And setting up here for pigeon pose. So if you practice pigeon, so we're going to do this in a couple of stages. Let's all come to sitting. If you practice pigeon pose regularly and want to just move into that, you feel comfortable moving into that, please do. I'm going to offer a modified pigeon and then maybe the next step into a full pigeon. So modified pigeon, if we come seated with our feet wide apart and knees drop to the right so that the left knee is nestled in towards the right sole of the foot. And then if you have, I should mention, if you have pillows or blankets, blocks nearby, putting them in front of the right knee. And this is a little trick Nina and I discovered. Took a little while to figure this one out. So bring both hands to opposite sides of the right leg, pushing into the floor, lift that right hip off the floor, and then settle the right hip back down now, so you can sit more squarely on the right hip. Is that working today, Nina? Okay. And so from this position, my sternum is out over my right knee. I'm going to settle in here over the sternum can move towards the right even more. So I'm coming into a little bit of a twist, any amount. And now right fingertips walk out and settling into your pigeon pose. That might mean putting blocks on top of pillows so that forehead could rest on some support. It may just mean letting your head relax and your arms being your support. If you would like to explore a deeper pigeon pose, so stay, if you're, find your comfortable place if you're stopping there at modified pigeon. If you'd like to explore a deeper pigeon pose, we're going to come back into downward dog. Right leg lifts towards the sky into three-legged dog. And then exhale, right knee comes to right wrist. Left toes walk back, walking back my left toes so that my left hip comes any amount towards my right heel. Oh, let me move these out of the way. So my right knee is near my right wrist. I'm walking my left toes out so that it helps my left hip come near my right heel. So I'm here in my upright pigeon pose. I really love to have my left toes curled under here, and I keep walking them back. And then I'm going to exhale any amount. Elbows might come to the floor. Really nice place for a block here under the forehead. If you're feeling any tension in that right knee, back it up. Maybe move your right foot in closer towards your pelvis to see if that would help. If not, maybe just move to modified pigeon. Wherever you are, untucking the left toes if you're in full pigeon. Can you really let go here? Let the breath reach into some deep places in the hip. If you've been in modified pigeon and you need to move, modified pigeoners can move out of modified pigeon and come back into some windshield wipers. For those who are in the or full expression of pigeon, take as many breaths as you'd like in that pose, and then safe way to come out of that pigeon is rolling onto the right hip, walking yourself up to upright, and coming back into windshield wiper legs. So now you know where to go. You can, if you did, I would suggest if you did modified pigeon on the first side, do that again, so your hips aren't wildly off balance. So if you'd like to move into full pigeon, you can do that right now. I'm going to guide modified. So knees drop to the left, right knees towards the left sole of the foot, hands come to the outside of the left leg. I'm pushing into the ground, lifting that left hip up and then resettling. So I'm sitting on that left hip. Torso is over the left knee, and then moving a little bit, twisting to the left a little bit more, and settling, arms walk out, maybe making a pillow with the arms for the forehead, settling into your modified pigeon, inviting breath in. If you're in full pigeon on this side, inviting those right toes to walk back and back farther on the mat, bringing that right hip closer to the left heel. Allowing the right toes to soften. Finding your stream in your breath, remembering the quality of the stream. Stay here for a little longer, or rolling to the outside of that left hip and coming back into windshield wiper, releasing that deep stretch in the hips. I'm happy to stay on after. If you have any questions about pigeon pose, it can be a tricky one. So after class, if you have any questions, feel free. But we need to move into Shavasana because it's almost 9:30. So finding any layers or props you would like. Encourage you to use some pillows or blankets under the knees if you're lying in Shavasana on the floor. It might feel good if you have a pillow to put under the sacrum to even have legs up or legs up the wall. But finding your way into your resting pose. Allowing yourself to flow over your props and onto the floor like a stream flows around rocks. draping yourself into this resting pose. Perhaps calling to mind that spaciousness you may have felt after breath of joy, acknowledging your wider energy field. Allowing your thoughts to soften, feeling an expansiveness in your brain, muscles behind your eyes relax. Without changing your breath in any way, notice your breath in this moment. Notice its quality and depth. Notice its potential to soothe and nourish. And know that this breath is always available to you. Choosing now to either stay in Shavasana or move yourself slowly and with attention to a side lying position. If you would like to finish or closing and seated, keeping your eyes softly closed, finding your way back to a seated position. Allowing your hands to come together in prayer position at heart center. Head bowing towards heart. May this practice be in service to all beings, and may all beings know peace. Namaste, and thank you for practice this morning.
Thank you, Sheila, so much.